Finally, you're at group 6, forearm and hand. Just like the rest of the joints, grab all of your number 6 muscles and lay them out on your table. You're going to organize them according to the flexors, which are the anterior portion of your forearm, and the extensors, which are the posterior portion of your forearm. So you'll put them in those two groups, arrange them in your color order from deep to superficial, and simply start putting them on your skeleton. So we're going to start with our flexor group, which is on the anterior side of the forearm. We'll start with the Pronator Quadratus, which is a little square muscle that goes from the radius to the ulna. Then we are going to put on two side muscles. The brachialis is a medial muscle that lands on the ulna and goes up the medial side of the humerus. The brachioradialis comes off the lateral side of the humerus and lands on the styloid process of the radius. So those are your two sort of lateral bicep muscles. Then we're going to continue with the flexor group. So we're going to put on Pronator teres, which goes from the medial side of the humerus to the lateral side of the forearm on the ulna. It just crosses over. Okay. Then we'll put on Flexor Pollicis Longus. Now, every time it says Pollicis, that means we're dealing with a thumb. So we're going to start at the tip of the thumb, graphing this one. Follow the line up the thumb, all the way to the radius, and it lands there midway up the radius. Next one we're going to put on is Extensor Digitorum Superficialis. It comes off the medial epicondyle of the humerus. Now, anytime you're dealing with flexor muscles, most of those muscles are going to come off the medial side of the humerus. When you're dealing with the extensors, they're going to come off more of the radial side, so the lateral side. So next one is Flexor Carpi Ulnaris. Again, it comes off the medial epicondyle of the humerus and lands on the 5th metacarpal on the hand, on the wrist. Then we'll put on Palmaris Longus. It's next to the Carpi Ulnaris on that epicondyle as well. Remember, these guys are going to fit together kind of like a puzzle, so you'll have to make room for the attachment points. And it lands, whoopsie, your words go facing up. So make sure you're graphing it like that. The Palmaris Longus lands on the fascia of the palm of your hand. So you'll either put an attachment point on the Flexor Digitorum Superficialis, or you can just squeeze it in on the bone of the wrist there with another attachment point. And finally, for the flexor group, we're going to put on Flexor Carpi Radialis. And again, it comes off the medial epicondyle of the humerus, making room for this one, and lands on the 2nd and 3rd metacarpals on the wrist. And so again, just making room for your attachment points. And those are your flexor group. We'll now do the extensors. Turn the skeleton around. Okay, so we'll start with the deep one, the supinator, which is a muscle that basically wraps itself around the radius and attaches the humerus to the radius. So we'll put that one here on the radius and up to the humerus. Anytime you're dealing with a pollicis, this is the Extensor Pollicis Longus and Brevis. I put those two muscles together in one. It's the thumb, so the easy way to graph that is follow the thumb up to the radius. So we'll start at the tip of the thumb, work our way up the bone of the thumb and then onto the radius and attach. Okay, and coneus I like to think of as a little elbow muscle that connects the ulnar to the humerus. Just a few more. Extensor Carpi radialis longus and brevis I've put on, combined onto one muscle, and it's the exact opposite of the flexor longus and brevis. And so it comes off, the extensor group comes off of the radial side of the humerus, so that's the thumb side. So you need to think more lateral. So it comes off the radial side, the epicondyle, and then lands on the second and third metacarpal, exactly opposite of the flexor group. It's opposite of the flexor group again. The extensor carpi ulnaris comes off the lateral epicondyle and it lands on the fifth metacarpal. The flexor carpi ulnaris lands on the fifth metacarpal as well, just on the flexor side. And finally, extensor digitorum. Remember, when you're dealing with digits, you're dealing with the fingers. So these go all the way out to the four fingers, not the thumb. And again, come off of the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. And there you have your forearm and hand group. And group 6.